Hosted by you/Throwrex husband. I, 28M, used to be married to an amazing woman, 24F. We divorced 2 years ago after dating for 1 year and being married for 3. She was, and still is, the love of my life, and our divorce is my biggest regret. The main reason for our divorce was my mother, who was a nightmare mother-in-law. I foolishly allowed her to interfere in our marriage and mistreat my ex-wife by constantly criticizing her. While I never called my mother to complain about my ex or sided with her against my ex, I should have enforced strict boundaries as soon as I realized she was a problem for us. I did go no contact with my mother twice, during my ex-wife's miscarriages, because I wanted to shield her from additional stress. However, during the second miscarriage, my mother found out about it by reading some texts on my sister's phone. She also discovered through those texts that it was our second miscarriage, and she went ballistic. My mother showed up at our home, and instead of turning her away immediately, I made the mistake of taking her into the living room to try to calm her down and explain things. My ex-wife, who was upstairs resting, was unaware that my mother was there. My mother pretended to calm down, but when I went into the backyard to bring our cats inside, she went upstairs, woke my ex-wife, and screamed at her for ruining my relationship with her. She also made horrific comments about my ex-wife being barren. By the time I got upstairs, 5 minutes later, as the cats weren't cooperating, my ex-wife was in tears. I kicked my mother out immediately, but that incident was the final straw for my ex-wife, and we split up a month later. We agreed to remain friends and acknowledged that we still had feelings for each other, but the relationship was no longer beneficial to her. After the divorce, she went to stay with her father in the UK and ended up getting a job through one of his friends. The divorce devastated me. I went no contact with my mother and started therapy, which helped me understand that my relationship with her was toxic. I learned strategies to manage communication with her, and now we're low contact, only speaking at family events. According to my siblings, she still doesn't see what she did wrong, so I have no plans to move beyond low contact with her. I've never moved on from my divorce. In fact, I think I'm even more in love with my ex-wife now than I was before. I haven't dated anyone else, and she's constantly on my mind. During the first 6 months of her living in the UK, we didn't speak. However, on our wedding anniversary, she sent me a text that read, "Happy on anniversary, insert nickname she used to call me," followed by, "I thought we agreed to stay friends, loser." After that, we started texting each other occasionally, for example, on my birthday, her birthday, and my brother's birthday. For my brother's birthday, she sent his gift to my house, and I passed it on to him. Quick note, my brother is gay, and he and my ex have been best friends since childhood. He's the one who set us up on our first date, so there's no weirdness here. In her second year away, our communication became more consistent, resembling a typical friendship. During one conversation, I told her about the therapy I'd undergone after she jokingly asked if I'd cut the umbilical cord yet. She also told me about 2 men she had dated and how those relationships ended. I wasn't weird about it, but it made me realize how much I missed her and how much I still loved her. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about how I had ruined things. I still have our wedding rings and her engagement ring. Due to recent world events, she hasn't been able to visit anyone in the US, but she's moving back in October. I was actually the first person she told. Everyone in our circle is excited, and my brother is organizing a homecoming party for her. The party will likely be hosted at my house, our former marital home, because I'm the only one in the group who lives alone. My brother recently asked me if I'd consider hanging out with her one-on-one after she moves back. I wasn't planning to ask her, but now it's all I can think about. Since they're best friends, I wonder if she might have put him up to it, similar to how she asked him to set us up when we first started dating. I asked my sister for advice, and she said I shouldn't ask her to meet up and should wait for her to take the lead if she wants to. I do think she might still have feelings for me because, during one conversation about one of her breakups, she said, "None of the men over here can handle me like you can." However, her humor is generally flirtatious, so I can't be sure. I'd love an outside perspective. Would asking her out be the right thing to do? Thanks for reading. Edit. You've all convinced me to ask her now instead of waiting until October. It's late here in the UK right now, but I'll call her tomorrow. Thanks for all the encouragement. Edit. I wanted to clarify what I meant by low contact since I know everyone interprets it differently. The low contact I have involves only saying happy birthday to each other in the family group chat. We're never the first to say it to each other, and the conversation doesn't go beyond that point. Whenever she approaches me at family events, which doesn't happen often anymore, she usually asks how I am and for updates on my life. I give her one-word answers and greyrock the rest. My therapist refers to this method as civil no contact, which I think is a more accurate term. She initially freaked out about no contact when my ex-wife first left and regularly blew up my phone. Low contact has been more peaceful. I'm aware this will likely change if my ex-wife and I get back together, and I'll be working with my therapist to create a plan for every possibility. I plan on returning to no contact after the phone call tomorrow, and I want to make it as safe and peaceful as possible. If a tiny bit of conversation is what it takes, I'm willing to do it. Update 1 day later. I asked if she'd like to come out to dinner with me when she gets back. She said yes. She even asked me what took me so long to ask, Lamau. She told me that if I hadn't asked her by the week before her return, she would have asked me out herself, So thank you guys so much for pushing me to call her. I feel like me making the first move is more meaningful, especially since I was the one who ruined our marriage. I'm literally on cloud 11 right now. We're planning to take things slow this time. We got engaged after 6 months the first time around, Lamau. I'm also going to be picking her up from THE airport. Should I bring her flowers? I also spoke to her about my mom. She was aware of the civil no contact arrangement I had, and she said she didn't mind if I kept it, but I made it clear that I don't want to anymore. I've only been tolerating my mom's presence for the sake of my siblings and their children at events, but I've decided to stop attending those events and instead celebrate important occasions with them separately. I'm hoping my nieces and nephews will harass my siblings about me being missing from their birthday parties so much that my siblings uninvite my mom, Lamau. I know I'm their favorite uncle. I apologized to her profusely, but she said she'd hang up if I kept apologizing, so I had to stop. I know this is just the beginning, and more apologies will definitely come as we start unpacking our failed marriage, so I'm trying not to max out her apology acceptance capacity just yet. She's also agreed to start couples counseling with me when she gets back. We even discussed the possibility of moving to the UK if we get married again. She mentioned wanting to stay in the town I'm currently in for the next few years because she's missed her family and friends here a lot. Her maternal family is here, but her paternal family is in the UK. Still, she said that moving back to the UK isn't completely off the table. I told her I'd follow her in a heartbeat, and she called me a nerd, Lamau. Our conversation lasted 2 hours, and she only had to go because she was taking her younger siblings out. Oh, and remember how I suspected my brother was hinting to me about her wanting me back? I was right. She admitted she'd been asking him to drop hints. I saw a comment earlier saying I should have just asked my brother to spell it out, but trust me, he's insanely annoying. I'd have to hold him hostage to get him to say anything. I know there's so much more to discuss in the month before she returns, and I'm putting together a priority list. Dealing with my mom is at the top of it. I told my ex-wife I wanted to sell the house so my mom wouldn't have my address, and I swear she wanted to reach through the screen and choke me. She loves the house and said I can't list it or even talk to a real estate agent until she gets a chance to look around again. Of course, I'm happy to oblige my queen. I also saw comments saying I shouldn't send my mom that email, the one explaining my boundaries and the consequences of breaking them. Since my ex-wife doesn't want to leave this town for the near future, and given how small the town is, it's likely my mom will run into us, either together or separately. I already run into my mom at least once a week, and we just ignore each other. I'd hope she has the decency to keep it that way, but she can't be trusted. If she crosses the line, I'm prepared to take legal action. Any advice on this is welcome. For now, my plan is to attempt total no contact in the month before my ex-wife returns. There are 4 family birthdays coming up, so it's the perfect time. My absence at all 4 events will definitely be noticed, and I'll get to see my mom's reaction. I'm also considering asking my brother and sister to sit her down and tell her not to bother me anymore, that I've decided to go fully no contact. I know some of you are mad at the civil no contact I've been doing, but it's helped me maintain the peace I needed for the past 2 years. However, I understand that everything will be different when my ex-wife is back. Thank you all so much. You're all invited to our second wedding. Edit. She found this post on Best Redditor Updates, Lamau. She called me a total nerd. She also wants me to thank you all for convincing me to call her instead of waiting until October. And she told me to call her my girlfriend instead of my ex-wife, so that's what I'll be using from now on. Edit. I'm fully aware that my mom is racist. By closet racist, I meant someone who's kept it hidden effectively for so long. She's also just a complete weirdo in general, so there are multiple reasons why she doesn't like my girlfriend and my brother's boyfriend beyond race. She hates my girlfriend because of her messed up family background and her miscarriages, in addition to race. She also dislikes my brother's boyfriend for being into motorbikes and smoking pot. She's incredibly absurd, so at the beginning, I wasn't sure if it was racism or not, but now it's pretty obvious. My sister's boyfriend is also black. He's my girlfriend's cousin. We set them up, lol, but he refuses to meet my mom because of how my girlfriend was treated. Interestingly, she's never commented on their relationship. Edit. I doubt any of you are still lurking here, but I thought I'd give a mini update. After spending some time on r/justnormal and speaking with my therapist, I've decided that the best course of action for reestablishing total no contact is to have a lawyer contact my mother. I reached out to a good lawyer today, and we're going to begin drafting a letter to send to her. Some of the things I've seen on here have worried me, so I've also started collecting evidence needed for a restraining order. I'm not sure how effective old texts and videos will be, but it's worth a shot. My girlfriend thinks I'm being too militant, lol. I think her time away has made her forget the worst of it, but she appreciates that I want to protect her. For clarification, since some of the comments seem to assume otherwise, we are not moving in together. My mother does not know the address of where my girlfriend will be living. Second update 1 week later. Success. I posted here a while ago asking for advice on keeping my mother away as my ex-wife, now girlfriend, returns to the town we live in. I'll be referring to her as my girlfriend for the rest of the post. I decided the best course of action was to have a lawyer contact my mother. The lawyer sent her a simple letter explaining that he was representing me and advising her to stay away, while also warning that I would take legal action if she didn't comply. The lawyer said he had to provide a reason for the letter, so it briefly mentioned that I had entered a romantic relationship and didn't want her involved due to her past behavior. It did not specify that I had gotten back with my ex-wife. This sparked a whole fight with my parents and older siblings. My dad even showed up at my house to argue with me. He kept going on about how hurt my mother has been during the 2 years I've been mostly no contact with her. There was no mention of what she had done to me and my girlfriend. I like my dad, but he's a complete pushover who does whatever my mother wants. I didn't tell him I was back with my girlfriend, but I did tell him flatly that my mother's insane behavior during my marriage is why I want nothing to do with her now. He pulled the classic "she's your mother, she loves you, and you're really hurting her" argument, but I didn't back down. I explained that because the town we live in is so small and I already run into her regularly, there's a high chance I'd run into her while I'm with my girlfriend. I told him I didn't want her to lose control, so having a lawyer warn her was the best way to avoid escalation. I made it clear that the ball is in her court. If she respects my no contact, then this won't need to go further, and we can all live peaceful lives. Eventually, my dad agreed with me. Before he left, I also told him never to show up at my house unannounced again. He promised to explain the situation to my mother and tell her that if she behaves, I won't take legal action. My older sisters have all called me to insult me, but I sent them the same text telling them to mind their own business, and the harassment stopped. It's been a day since all this happened, and my father said my mother agreed to leave me alone. While I can't completely trust her word, it's a start, especially since last time I tried to establish no contact, she went off the rails. I've already spoken to a realtor about getting my house on the market by mid-October. I'd like to sell it sooner, but my girlfriend wants to have a look around first, so I'm waiting. I plan to move to a neighboring town where I can keep my job, see my friends, and stay in touch with the family members I'm close to. I won't be attending any family events where my mother will be present. Missing my nieces and nephews' birthdays will be tough, but I'll visit separately to give them their gifts. So far, so good, it's been a tentative success. There's still a month before my girlfriend returns, so I have time to handle any issues that might come up before then. To clarify, my girlfriend won't be moving in with me, and my mother doesn't know where she'll be staying. Here's to more successes. Third update 1 month 1 week later. Hello, everyone. Sorry for keeping you all waiting. My girlfriend has been back for a week today, and it's been the best week of my life. I picked her up from the airport last Saturday. I brought her a gigantic bouquet of daffodils, and we both cried, lol. Seeing and hearing her again in person was so surreal because I'm so used to speaking to her over video calls. Her accent has become more British now, and it's so cute. The drive back to our town was challenging because I had to keep my eyes on the road, but I wanted to look at her the entire time. We had the homecoming party at my place, our old marital home, on Sunday, and it was amazing. It felt just like old times when we were still married and hosted our friends. She stayed to help me clean up with my brother and, unfortunately, her older brother too, who does not like me. She wanted to come over and have a look at my house before I put it on the market, and we did that on Tuesday. It was extremely emotional, and we both ended up crying, especially when we got to the master bedroom. When she left, I moved my things into another bedroom, locked up our old shared bedroom, and basically forgot about it. I only went in about once a month to clean it, but other than that, it stayed locked. Our old rings, a few things she had left behind, and some items that were too painful for me to look at, like framed photos we had together, were in there. She ended up taking her old wedding and engagement rings to wear on a necklace, which was really touching because I thought she wanted to completely forget our previous relationship and start fresh. I'm happy to know that she looks back on our past together fondly despite it being a hot mess. Yes, if we do get married again, I will 100% be buying new rings. We've hired a counselor to work through our relationship, and our first appointment is next week, so wish us luck. I also have an appointment to get the house valued next week so I can sell it ASAP. My girlfriend is currently staying with a family member and is apartment hunting, so we also have some appointments next week to look at places for her. The coming week is pretty jam-packed for us. We won't be living together for a while so we can take things slower than we did last time. Last time, we got engaged after 6 months and married 6 months later. During the week she's been back, we've spent a few hours together every day, except when I'm working, apart from Wednesday. I know some of you will probably be wondering about my mother, and I have good news. We live in a small town, so it was 100% likely that my girlfriend would run into her within her first week back. She ran into her on Wednesday, and my mother did not do anything. My girlfriend was out with her younger sister at Starbucks, and my mother noticed her, then turned around and went about her business like a normal person. I will never be open to reestablishing communication with my mother, but it actually looks like she's learned her lesson after 2 years of very low contact. Unfortunately, my lawyer said I probably wouldn't be able to get a restraining order against her, so I seriously hope she continues to behave. According to my siblings and father, she didn't even tell them she had seen my girlfriend. I need to clarify that my mother does not know we are back together, and I'm hoping to move to the next town over to keep it that way. Once again, thank you all for your support and encouragement. I will be eternally grateful that you convinced me to ask her out back then instead of waiting until now. She wants me to thank you all too. You're all awesome. Comment update 4 months later. We moved in together. My girlfriend couldn't find an apartment she liked, so we decided to live together again. Other than that, there are no new developments.